Hi everyone. Today we are going to look at 2 Corinthians chapter 1, verses 1 to 11 for our devotion. I love the way Apostle Paul calls God as Father of mercies in 2 Corinthians chapter 1, verse 3. And he calls God of all kinds of comfort. I don't know how many comforts are there. And he says God of all comfort. Why does Apostle Paul calls God in this way? Because he was in great peril of death. And it is God who comforted him. It is God who delivered him. And with this comfort, he is also able to comfort others who were in similar problems. So he called God as Father of mercies and God of all comfort. And what kind of an affliction that he was in? And he explains that affliction in verse 8. Let me read that verse for you. We do not want you to be unaware, brethren, of our affliction which came to us in Asia, that we were burdened excessively beyond our strength, and we even despaired of life. And he is saying in the next verse that he was close to the point of death. And it is God who delivered him from the death. And it really, made Apostle Paul to believe God and trust God, not only for that particular situation, and he became very, very confident, and he said, in the future troubles also, God will deliver us. One of the most interesting point that I wanted to communicate as a part of this devotion is verse 11. And in verse 10, he says it's purely God who delivered them. And in verse 11, it says that it is your prayer which delivered him. What a beautiful coordination. Look at here. And he says that please pray so that God would deliver us. And so that you would also be able to give thanks to God. And he clubs body's prayer and also the deliverance of God. It is God who delivered us. At the same time, it is the believer's prayer that actually made God to deliver him out of the great peril of death. And he says it is an opportunity for an answered prayer to give thanks to God. And this reminds me of the verse in 1 Samuel chapter 12, 23 and 24. And when the whole nation sought for the king, and God gave Saul as the king, and the nation was on the wrong path. And that time Samuel says in verse 23 of 1 Samuel 12, and it is a sinful thing, and if I ever stop praying for Israel, and if I cease to pray for Israel, and it is not the sin against nation, but it is the sin against God himself. And this really moves our hearts to pray for people so that God would deliver them. And it gives us an opportunity to thank God for the answered prayer. Thank you so much.